Well, it seems to me that once again the FBI is, well, acting corruptly to influence an election. We know they tried to stop Trump in 2016 and in 2020, and now it looks like they're trying to help Biden by indicting this confidential human source. Just a little while ago, they were saying how precious these guys are, how valuable. But no, in the indictment, the false information he provided, the confidential human source, was not trivial. It targeted the presumptive nominee of one of the two major political parties in the United States. The effects of Smirnov's false statements and fabricated information continue to be felt to this day. Got to tell you, when I first heard this, I kind of dismissed it. I sat down and read the thing. And Eric Eggers from the Government Accountability Institute and co-host of that great podcast, The Drill Down with Peter Schweizer, I am appalled that the FBI has not corrected its ways, has not reformed. Eric, what do you make of all this, please?
Yeah, you're probably appalled, but not surprised, right? I mean, this is, as you noted, not the first time that the FBI or other mechanisms of the Department of Justice have tried to put their thumb on the scale to influence the American election. I think my first reaction is, while Alexander Smirnov may have been arrested and indicted for allegedly working with Russian intelligence, Christopher Steele remains free, right? The guy that behind the Steele dossier, which we now know was in fact false information that was provided to the FBI about Trump being an asset of Russian intelligence. So it's the same playbook. I mean, these people are about as creative as the Biden business model. We've seen the fact that now James Biden is there saying, I'm next to my brother, and we'd like to do this deal, the same thing that Hunter Biden does. So unfortunately, it's all too predictable, but no less appalling.
Well, you know, I kind of am surprised, though. I thought they would have cleaned up their act. Their reputation is taking a huge hit, but then I thought about it some more. Their reputation has taken a hit, but nothing really bad has happened to them. Wray is still in charge. Comey is out there making millions of dollars. They're making movies about Comey. The Durham report didn't lay a glove on anybody. So there really hasn't been any substantive reform, even though these guys have totally and completely ruined the organization that was once great.
Not only has nothing happened to them, they've gotten away with, I would argue, far greater offenses. I mean, look no further than what happened in the election of 2020, when, once again, this FBI shows up and says information that might be damning to Joe Biden, a.k.a. information contained on Hunter Biden's laptop, is not to be allowed to be shared on the internet. Like, that's a thing that happened. And we're also like, well, we thought it was Russian information. No, it was corruption. It was influence peddling. It was election thievery. And so the FBI has gotten away with this before. So I don't think you can blame them for thinking they can get away with something as egregious, or if not approaching. And the thing is, Greg, it's only February. Who knows what they'll have up their sleeve as the year goes on. But if past is prologue, I think we should buckle up, because I think the offenses on behalf of the Biden DOJ will continue to mount.
You know, it's almost like, yeah, they're not creative. And there's a certain naivete. If I am to accept them at their word here, they're like, well, there's no way that Joe Biden was bribable because it was 2017 and he wasn't vice president anymore. Why would anybody give him money? I mean, that's what they're saying here. And that, therefore, that's another reason to not believe their confidential human source.
Well, remember what this guy said, right? This guy was saying that he'd heard from the head of Burisma that the head of Burisma was ordered to pay the Bidens millions of dollars. So whether or not that information is true, we do know that bribery occurred with Burisma, right? I mean, Hunter Biden was paid $1 million to, in effect, fire this prosecutor, get this prosecutor fired. His father, Joe Biden, brags about the fact that that exact action occurred at his direction. So that would be considered by many the textbook definition of bribery. Oh, by the way, it's not like they need this guy's information to suggest there's other examples of money coming in. Just recently saw the Politico article about James Biden, who was forced to testify today about his influence peddling schemes, the money he's raking in from healthcare companies and other Chinese sources. So if this guy wasn't necessarily at the center of a bribery scheme, it's not like the allegations of bribery go away as it relates to the Biden family.
Hey, one little thing, they actually inadvertently, I think, confirmed the validity of that phone call between Joe Biden and Poroshenko, where he's kind of pleading with him to get rid of the prosecutor, and expresses relief that he has made good on his promise. Poroshenko has made good on his promise. They verify that that thing is legitimate. You know, there are some people who have denied that. Can we talk about James Biden for a moment? Yeah, I saw his denials. You know, his brother never took any official action. That was interesting. No official action. We'll know more about what he said. Did you notice how he was dressed? He looked like a gangster. He looked a little bit, too fancy, I thought, with the shawl over. Anyway, did you notice that?
Well, you have a finer, fashion eye than I do, Greg. So I don't feel entitled or empowered to judge the fashion choices of other people. But he did look. I mean, the Bidens are sending a message because they're willing to show up to Congress, and I would say the Bidens probably feel the same way the FBI feels, untouchable. They got away with it, and they'll continue to get away with it because no one holds them accountable. They're testifying to House Republicans, but I think people would say that anything that the wheels of justice will bring will be something akin to the charges that Hunter Biden faced, which were minimal or a slap on the wrist, if at all. So I think that James Biden is very proud of the fact. He's like, look at me. I made money off of healthcare, and I invoked my brother, just like Hunter did. I mean, the Politico article talks about the fact that James and Hunter were both trying to get money with this AmeriCorps CEO with Chinese gangsters. So it wouldn't shock me if he's wearing clothes like that, because that's literally who the Bidens do business with.
It's wild. The hubris of the FBI, quite frankly, is really starting to kind of alarm me, that they are being this clumsy, this overt, and the DOJ, by the way. Anyway, Eric, these are wild times. Eric Eggers, you got to check out the Drill Down podcast with Peter Schweizer. And thank you for all the work you do at the Government Accountability Institute.
It's our pleasure, where we bear no physical resemblance to any other members of the Biden family.
Depends what night we're talking about, but this guy looks a lot like Hunter sometimes. A better, cleaner version. Thank you, Eric. We'll be right back.